Welcome to Terra to Tell a Living. I always get like tongue tied over it, even though I like have been saying it forever. Terra to Tell a Living. And it means Earth Guardian Living.
Yeah.
So I have Carolyn Walker. And my first question is, what does eco-conscious look like to you?
Eco-conscious living looks to me, well, it's been a bit of a journey and an unfolding journey with what living earth friendly is to me. And I by no means am living earth friendly. It's more of a consciousness of trying to get there and trying to get down a path and get as close to zero waste as possible. And we make tons of waste. And but doing the slowly swapping out different products or making my own products for household cleaning, hygiene, um, cooking from scratch, just a more natural way of living instead of buying everything in plastic. So that's kind of for me what eco consciousness is, foregoing the tons of wrapping paper and using reusable bags that are making an appearance now for 3 Christmases in a row. So like that kind of thing. That's for me what these little steps that I'm taking to try to reduce my carbon footprint.
Yeah, I love that. And so you talked about food, and you have a garden that you grow as well.
I have a very small patch of earth that we live on, and it's mostly we don't have enough sunlight really for vegetables. We have a small patch of herbs that I grow, and I'm learning about herbalism. So how do I utilize those herbs, the herbs that I dry, then I can make them into culinary herbs or medicine, that sort of thing. So that's more of the area that I'm going into than the vegetables. We kind of have this sloping, sunken garden with like sunlight that comes on one patch. So
Yeah, like a beam right here.
exactly. But I've been looking into joining a CSA. It's something that I'd love to do, and then be able to go and support local farmers and get fresh vegetables in the summer. That's something that we've been meaning to do, and I'm really wanting to push for doing that this year. So
Yeah.
there's other ways of growing your food that you can still get freshly grown, organic, natural, local food.
Yeah. So I know what a CSA means, but can you explain what that is exactly?
Yep, CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, I believe. And it is when a farmer or a collective of farmers have a collaborative where people from the community will buy a share, and with the money that's from the share, the farmer then or farmers use to grow the crops, and then you as a shareholder get to pick up produce or whatever is grown once a week or however often you've set up for your share to be. So you don't necessarily get to choose what produce that you get. There might be some certain bits that you can choose, but you might just get an amount, like a bag full of produce that you can then use throughout the week. And a lot of people I know I've, even though we haven't done a share, we have had neighbors or family members say, "Hey, I picked up this from our share. It's so much food. I can't possibly eat it all. Here, can you take some greens?" So, of course, yeah. So, so it's also a way of getting foods into your diet that you wouldn't normally buy. And it's all season based, and that's really good for you nutritionally to be eating the foods that are vibrant during that time of year. And there's not any of the shipping. The food isn't moving far from where it's sourced. So, and it supports the community. So all good things.
Yeah, I love that. And it feels like it's even more abundance of food than it is when you just go to the store.
Yes. Yep. And you can't get it fresher.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that to somebody. I feel like I feel like the food that is grown locally or grown in your own garden is so much like better. It just tastes better when it's like that than when you buy it at the store.
Yeah. The thing that blows my mind, that I hadn't thought about in the past, we're just so disconnected from where our food comes from.
Mhm.
And I am definitely the person who goes to the grocery store and buys the produce. I'm not the person who seeks out all the local natural foods that is the person I want to be, especially during times of COVID. You know,
Yeah.
you go in your store, you like grab what you can and you leave. But the what my goal is to do the local food and the farmers markets, and the fact that when you grow the food in soil that is rich and soil that's been properly fertilized and it doesn't have the pesticides in it, your food is going to have contain more nutrients
Yeah.
because the greens are actively taking up the nutrients from the soil, and then it's in the body of the plant, and then you eat the body of the plant and then you get those nutrients. So something that's not necessarily grown nutritively isn't going to have all, like if you think about eggs, what the chicken ate is going to be present in the egg, and then you consume the egg. So if you're eating eggs with these thin little shells that don't have very much calcium in them, if you see the color of the yolk and the yolk isn't bright orangey yellow, then it's not going to be as full of nutrients and nutrition.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, and taste, oh my gosh, taste is so much better in an egg like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Thinking about grandmother would be she was a they were a farmer, they were farmers, and there's more bartering that was happening then. People, the neighbors would come and do help them with haying so that they would get some of the hay. The neighbors would get to take some of the hay for that their livestock, but they would also drop off like a dozen duck eggs, and man, those things are big.
yeah.
Or a egg every once in a while, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. And so the farmers, even before CSAs were developed, it was definitely a trading system like the whole time.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my other eco-conscious, friendly utopia would be going back to a bit more of a barter system, a bit more of a view of abundance, and having that abundance is then you share that abundance. It just gets passed around more instead of money getting passed around or
Yeah.
hoarded. You can't always hoard food. You can't
Yes.
hoard you can only can so much.
Yes. And do you can your food or do you?
Have not gotten into canning yet. It is something on my list, but I was never taught. And it is one of those things that seems a little scary. Like if you do it the wrong way, it could be dangerous. And I find that's really sad that there's a whole generation of people like me who didn't learn that. Like when I was a kid, my grandmother brought me down to the basement, and it was a horrible story though, but there were canned jars left over from my great grandmother that we had to then like empty out. But my grandmother, we brought it to the field, we emptied it all out, and then she kept all the jars.
Uh-huh.
And those jars were probably in that basement, in that cellar for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Kept those jars and we washed them.
Yeah.
So, but now it's all recycling everything. I'm really getting into jars because of the herbalism that I'm starting to practice and using those jars. Like I've started making apple cider vinegar.
Mhm.
So you have to be careful with that, not necessarily using it for preserving food because it has to be a certain alcohol acid, acid content, and you would probably need to get a acid test kit to see what percentage it is before you then used it for food preservation, but you can use it for cooking and eating and cleaning.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been the little thing that I've been experimenting with, creating my own apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, I love it. And when I was a kid, my parents did can a little bit. Like it wasn't huge amounts, but I remember doing that when I was a kid, but they stopped doing that because it was like time consuming, and they found that just going to the store and buying a can of beans was cheaper, and that's why they stopped. But like, so I don't like really know how to do it really well, but I did try to learn for a minute.
Yes. Yeah.
And I would so love to get back into that.
Yeah.
Like,
Like my mother, I remember her doing jams and jellies, and she has said, yes, let's get together and do that. And then COVID happened. So we're not getting together anytime soon. It's been a tough road, I think, to be looking at trying to live a more eco-friendly lifestyle with hand sanitizers and masks and using plastic bags, or there was a plastic bag ban at grocery stores for a while, and I was so glad when I got to bring my reusable bags back to the grocery store. So there's been hurdles. There aren't the bulk food sections open
yeah.
at the grocery store. Like I was really gearing up to do all that and like buy in bulk in my own little jars and things like that. And then all those bulk areas disappeared in the stores that I go to.
I didn't even think about that. I haven't really been doing the grocery shopping that much myself during this time, and um I I remember going to the store and I was like, "Oh, the salad bar is gone. That's kind of disappointing." And
Yeah.
but yeah, the bulk section, I I don't I don't quite understand, because the bulk section is held in a container and you usually open the thing and it's not
Yeah.
like virus is getting inside of there, so it's confusing to
I
me.
just the touching, everybody touching the same
Yeah.
place. But so I'm looking forward to feeling safer and feeling like I'm able to scout out different stores for different bulk food options instead of running into one store, like picking one store that is a compromise store
Mhm.
to get all my goods, and
Mhm.
then like running home and washing myself, like taking a shower and all that. But it's temporary.
Yeah.
So we will get there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, and gosh, let me figure another question. So, some of the benefits that you have seen from doing this in your own life, what is have you seen?
Well, there's one distinct benefit that I have seen that I can quantify.
Mhm.
And it is we bought at a used furniture place for $10 one of those clothes horses. It's
Mhm.
like it's a wooden structure thing that opens up, and then you just hang your wet clothes on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll be right back. The kids are making noise. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Okay.
I'm back.
No problem.
That's
No
what
problem.
it's for, right?
Yeah. Don't worry, because part of the conversations that I want is like I just want it to be messy. Like that's what real life is. So why should we worry about, too much perfect?
Yes. Yes. So back to the benefit. So using a clothes horse. And so I don't hang up every single thing that I wash on this clothes horse. Like there's no way of hanging up your linens like your bedding.
Mm.
So I dry that in the dryer, but everything else or dresses, I hang them on hangers and they're kind of like positioned around on on curtain rods. So, and I found that over a month's time, it has lowered our electric bill by probably $50.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So a $10 investment into a clothes horse,
Yeah.
and it's a little extra work hanging the clothes up, and I rotate them so it's like it's wet, and then if it starts drying on one side, and I'll flip it over, and we kind of put it next to the heater. When we have our wood stove running in the really cold parts of winter, I'll bring it downstairs, and those clothes will be dried like
Yeah.
within a few hours. So yeah, that how much savings is that a year? It's totally worth it. The clothes do tend to get a little stiffer, but I haven't found anything to be like what's a little bit of a stiff towel to begin with compared to that much savings, less wear on your clothing, less energy being used. It just seems like a win situation for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I love that. And this is something that I've been thinking about too when I renovate my trailer. I won't be putting a washer and dryer in the trailer. And
Yeah,
so I've been thinking about what how am I going to confront laundry in that situation? And
yeah,
this is totally a way to do that.
yeah. There is, yeah, I think it only will wash like a few items of clothing at a time, but there is like this foot pump
Yeah.
washing little portable washing machine that I've seen. Yeah. Um
Yeah. I've seen I've seen it too, and it's like, "Oh, that's interesting," but I'm not sure yet. I kinda
yes,
wanna see it work.
yeah. I remember my grandmother talking about because when my grandparents were married, she moved into the big farmhouse, and it was a multi-generational living situation. It was her and my grandfather, who was born. He wasn't born physically in the house, but he was one who was born at the hospital while his sisters were born in the house. But it was with her, my grandfather's parents, and like there was an aunt also. So there was a lot of people in the house and a good number of women in the house. And I think it was either Saturday or Sunday where all the women would go and do the laundry. And I remember seeing an old, like one of the crank washing boards, and thinking like once a week, that's what the women did. They did laundry. But hearing my grandmother talking about it, she said that when you got uh, washing machine for, you can wash your laundry, how much time that then freed up for the women of the family. Like back with our grandparents' generations, where people were canning food, where people were growing their victory gardens and doing laundry by hand. That's all done by the women. And when you don't have to do that, you can have a career and more self fulfillment. So there is for me this desire to go back to a simpler time, a slower time, a less electronic and plugged in media time. But then with the thought that we are so fortunate as women that we don't have to be shackled to these menial household tasks all the time, that we can choose to spend our time that way or not. So it's that choice. So with the with less eco-friendly options have come great privilege for us.
Yes.
So, and it's hard to let go of that, or like, how do you say
Yes.
thank you, but can we not destroy the earth at the same time? Like, can we if we can put somebody on the moon, if we can go to the bottom of the Mariana Trenches in the ocean, if we can do all these things, can't we figure out some other better ways and not just stop
Yes.
our technology where it is with dirty energy? Can we just keep evolving?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm the same way. I struggle with all of these amenities that we have, but at the same time, I want to be good to the planet, but these amenities feel like they're destroying it. And I want to see growth in a way that is both. Like, how can we
Yeah.
have both?
Yeah, there are some really easy things that
Mhm.
people can do for the environment, like not using paper napkins.
Mhm.
We have no paper napkins. We don't buy tissues.
Mhm.
I have cloth handkerchiefs now.
Mhm.
We don't buy paper towels. We use towels.
Yeah.
um, so and I clean a lot with vinegar, or vinegar that's been watered down. So that's our main cleaning spray. And we stopped buying soap, liquid soap. Like, it was an epiphany for me. I was reading, and I brought some books with me.
I
This
love it.
Simply
Oh, you
Living
showed
book.
me that one. Yes.
So that Simply Living book, by Julia
Okay.
Watkins,
Yeah.
and she uses bar soap to wash dishes. And that was just kind of an epiphany for me, like, whoa, you can do that. So yeah, we have our washcloth, and I rub it against the bar soap and I wash my dishes.
Yeah.
So I'm buying the pumps, I'm not buying the pouches that are supposed to be more eco-friendly because you use less plastic, but still you're using plastic.
Mhm.
So I either get the bars of soap that have nothing around them, or something that has a paper that you rip off and they put in the recycling.
Mhm.
So yeah, I make my own laundry detergent using washing soda, salt, and one of those whole bar of Castile soap that you grate up, and then you just use a little scoop and you put it in.
Yeah.
So the other question I have is, not knowing what is more earth friendly. Um, like, it's one thing if you make your own apple cider vinegar and you're buying apples, you cut it up, you use the cores to make the apple cider vinegar, and you buy the apples loose, so there's no plastic involved. So you then have your recycled glass jars that you're making the apple cider vinegar in. So there's really no waste that's happening, versus making my own washing soda. I'm buying salt, or laundry detergent. Like, I'm buying soap, I'm buying washing soda, I'm buying salt. So those all come in containers, even though, the salt comes in the cardboard container, washing soda comes in the cardboard container, but still you're buying containers
Yes.
to make something else. So you're trying to bypass the plastic, but like the washing soda that I ordered came in a plastic bag. So I feel like there's no way that we as the little people are really going to be able to go 100% zero waste without making it a career, unless the companies that are out there get on board and start packaging responsibly.
Yes. 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 Um, for a minute, I was collecting all of the packaging that was coming into my house, and I didn't like. I was like, I want to recycle this. I don't know what to do with it, and it just started collecting and collecting and collecting, and it's like it's every single place you look around and every single thing that you buy or order.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thinking about two books. I have one with me, Zero Waste Home
Hmm.
by Bea Johnson. This is a great book. And she is somebody who has taken the zero waste living to the next level, and like almost to the point of craziness. Like, so her stories of washing her hair with vinegar and her husband saying, like, after 6 months, yeah, you can't do this anymore. Like, you smell like a salad every day. Like, those kinds of stories. And how they only have like a jar of trash. They got rid of all of their trash cans and they only have a jar of trash a year. But it's, I feel like, well, she's made this into her career.
Yeah.
So how do people who are moms, parents who are working make eco living and do it affordably and manage your time and manage your sanity? Like, how does one do that? I feel like is the conundrum,
Yeah.
because you have to get family on board with this sort of thing. But what I was thinking about with that book, coupled with a book called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, um, and that book is the like indigenous, is it indigenous wisdom, scientific knowledge, and the wisdom of plants, teachings of plants, something like that. But it's a lot about the abundance mindset
Yeah.
that a lot of indigenous Americans have, that I feel the average European immigrant family or long implanted family here doesn't have.
Yeah.
Like, it's we have come here, and the idea of that manifest destiny, there's everything is ripe for our taking, and we can take and take and take, and there will always be more, 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 so take, 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 and get, versus a living of an abundance living is more of see all the things around us. We don't need to take. Like, we take what we need, but we don't need to take
Yes.
because it's there. And that if you take everything, there won't be anything left. You take what you need so that there's enough there for your children and your grandchildren's generation.
Yes.
So, thinking about those two books and going back to Bea Johnson's book, how her family really changed how they lived, like what clothes they bought, always buying secondhand clothes and only having really a limited wardrobe. Like, she
Mhm.
talked about, she like, I have one pair of shorts and I have this one black dress that I can go out to dinner with or do work in, or if I put this accessory with it, I only have one belt. If I wear a belt with it, then I can do this sort of thing with it. Like, looking at my closet, how many clothes I have in my closet, and then how many clothes I have in my dresser. It's less than it had been at one point in my life, but like, fashion, do we need fashion, or what does it mean to be fashionable? And that can bring a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment to your life, but is it really what we need? We're so consumed by the idea of what we look like and
Yes.
what we wear. And while it's not necessary,
Hmm.
I've stopped wearing makeup.
Yeah.
Like Bea talks about she's French, so she had a certain aesthetic that she went in with, and talking about foregoing her lip plumper and trying nettles on her lips and how that was a bad idea, or using beet powder or cocoa powder for making her own cosmetics. And I'm just like, I kind of went through that makeup phase in my earlier years and kind of okay with leaving that behind. So like, what do we want to live with and what do we want to live without? And I think if you're living an eco-conscious life, kind of decide what are you not going to settle on and what can you let go of. Because Bea is has family in France and she wants her children to be bilingual. She said that they do fly once a year to visit family, and that they don't forego that. And she knows it's not eco-friendly, but that's something that she won't compromise on. They'll
Right.
travel as waste-free as they can, but they're still using the energy flying in an airplane. So what kind of things, I guess if you're starting and you're looking to be eco-conscious, what things can you give up? What things can you swap out? What things can you change versus what things are you not going to compromise on?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And the things that I've seen too is to live an abundant life, it has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing to do with what kind of career you have built. It has to
Yeah.
do with the people that are around you and supporting the planet, and just connection with everybody and everything all around you.
Yes, yes, it is that connection. And when you're at the store and you see something, yeah, I have the guilt all the time. I think I'm going to buy this, but this has plastic on it. And I know that plastic is going to go somewhere. It's
Mhm.
not going to just disappear, it's going to go somewhere. So, how is that going to affect other people down the line? And then sometimes I'm just like, put the blinders on. I need it, buy it. But wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to do that?
Yes.
If we could
Yes.
just store and there's the things to buy, to get, to eat without the trash involved.
Yes, that's something I dream of too, being able to go into, whatever it is I need or want, and
Mhm.
not worry about the damage. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm a little bit young for this history, but wasn't there a time where some person like opened maybe some medicine and put some toxic or poisonous material in it, such that or did a string of those, so that every package then had to be covered and sealed, like you
Oh,
open up
yes.
and then there's a seal, like sealed for your protection or for freshness kind of thing. Like you open up a medicine bottle and not only is there plastic around the top of it, but there's also that plastic seal, or that you have, or like the foil seal that you have to break open. So like thinking about if one person did that, how much plastic and crap has then gone into the environment because of that one person's actions. And thinking about that just blows my mind,
Yeah.
that in order for people to be safe and these safety measures that were put into place, how much damage has that done?
Yes.
Like, I really appreciate the fact that there aren't bugs in my food and my food isn't growing bacteria that's deadly. Like, super down with that, really appreciative of that. But then on the other hand, it's like, but everything's so sterilized and everything is so packaged, and the freshness of it, it's fresh, but it's fresh due to preservatives. So we're just living this certain life that is, it's not necessarily a safer life, but it's a life that makes us feel safer.
Mhm. Yeah,
Why?
so well put.
Because we don't question what's going into our drinking supply or what's going into our air or what's going into the earth, but we question like, oh, is that bag of Doritos closed all the way? Oh, you can feel that there's still air in it. Okay, so these Doritos will be fresh and safe for me. Instead of thinking like, sorry about using like the brand names, but the chips. But like all the stuff and chemicals that are in it,
Mhm.
are those good for you? So like we started making our own bread. I use a bread machine because there is not enough time in the day for everything, but we do have an issue with freshness, and there is definitely a rotation of, oh my gosh, fresh bread, and everybody's eating it up. And then, oh, this isn't so fresh anymore. I guess it's French toast time. So that will happen. There'll be the fresh bread. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then all right, yay, it's French toast time.
Yeah.
So it's like finding your own rhythms, your own cycles to things, and how do you use up your food. Having more natural foods, they won't necessarily last as long, but how do you preserve them? Whenever I buy chicken, I buy it like a large pack of chicken. I cook it up within a day or two. I cut it into little pieces and I throw that in the freezer. So when it's time to cook chicken, I take pieces out and I cook them in the skillet. They've
Mhm.
already been cooked. I'm just thawing them out. But it means that there's no waste. Um, it's not like you're cooking a whole bunch of chicken and you have to eat it up real fast.
Mhm.
Like, oh, okay, what's for dinner? It's fourth night in a row. I guess it's chicken again. so like thinking about how to preserve foods or your table scraps or like your vegetable scraps. I'm a big shiitake mushroom fan. um, you can't eat the stems. I trim those off. I put them in a glass jar in my freezer. When the jar gets full, I make mushroom stock out of it.
Mhm.
Or like the little nubbins of onions that have the little roots on it, those go into the jar. Little pieces of carrot at the end, those go into the jar. So, or the chicken that I cook up, there's basically broth when I'm done with a big pot of chicken. So I drain that off. I put it in a container and that goes in the freezer. So there's my chicken broth. That's so I don't have to buy that. I don't have to pour it down the drain. For a while, I was just pouring it down the drain.
Yeah.
Wait, we can eat this. Wow.
Yeah.
Like save money and save on buying containers.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you have thought of so many things. I just love it. I love talking to you about this.
Well, when you first contacted me about doing an interview, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really do anything. And then I thought about it like, well, yeah, I guess I do this and I guess I do that. And it's really all about the little things,
Mhm.
that the little swaps that you can make, that it might be an investment for a moment. Like you might buy cloth napkins. All
Mhm.
right, so you put some money into cloth napkins, but now you're not buying a whole thing of of paper napkins or the paper towels. That you just don't buy it
Mhm.
anymore. That's done. You already have your towels. So and I'm getting to the point of having like large white cotton sheets that are old and washing those. And if somebody gets like a cut on their finger, like you cut it up. You cut up that cloth and you tie it the old-fashioned way around your finger.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
so instead of using band-aids, doesn't mean I never use band-aids, but there are certain wounds that you can do that. You can tie it up.
Yeah,
So
and especially a real temporary one that's just gonna bleed for a minute, and then by the end of the day, you don't even need a Band-Aid anymore.
yeah. Yeah. So little things like that. Like, what did your grandparents do? If this happened, just think, like, what would grandma do?
Yeah, yeah. So, I know you had a baby a couple of years ago. Did you use diapers or did you have
we
cloth?
we used bamboo disposable diapers. We had the cloth diapers. I found that giving birth was really hard, and being a new mom was really hard. And I felt like it took me like almost a year to really get my body back from not being in pain and hurting and being tired. It was too much to do the cloth diapers. So we did do the disposable diapers. My daughter, who was from my husband's first marriage, they did cloth diapers. They had a really hard time with her with diaper rash because of the cloth diapers over the disposable ones. But that was, 11 years ago.
Mm.
So now I'm thinking there are much more ways that you can do the you can do like disposable inserts for the diapers and have like a shell around it, so you can do kind of a hybrid of disposable and reusable cloth. Yeah, I was just too tired to do that. And
Yeah.
I knew how much tons of waste was going into the world. Yeah, it's such a hard thing to wrap your brain around. Um, yeah, something I'm not proud of. But it was also something that happened before I really got into reading and really tried to cut corners of my wasteful life. So we did make some baby food. We did buy baby food that was in jars, but we also made applesauce and sweet potatoes and some other things. But yeah, having a baby is tough. And I feel like um, as as families that are living in single family homes now, and you don't have that intergenerational help like our grandparents had when my mother was born. The grandparents, the folks lived upstairs. And if my grandparents needed to go somewhere, my mother was bundled up and brought up to her grandparents and to that part of the house. And there were more hands to take care of children then, but we don't have that now, or a lot of us don't
Yeah.
have that. It's kind of like people who don't have enough money to live on their own, who live with their parents, will get that help. But people who have enough money to live in single family homes might not get that help. But then people who have more money, who can hire a nanny, will get that help. So there's this kind of middle ground where you're kind of screwed.
Yes.
But wouldn't it be nice if all of us, every single one of us, had more of a village and more
Yes.
of a attention to people to help out with childbearing years, and in the same way helping, the older people going down and helping out, but the younger people going up and helping the elderly during their end of days. Yeah, that's more of my idyllic wish of
Yes.
return to, that means we'd all have to live with our parents, which isn't a great necessarily a great thing, but there's a charm and a beauty to it that has kind of been lost.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Oh my gosh, I relate so much too because I grew up in a very like kind of um I don't know the words, but I guess I was kind of isolated from a lot of people and getting to know a lot of people. And so this, I did not grow up with my grandmother taking care of me. My mom stayed at home taking care of me. And I just imagine, like, it's actually flourishing, allowing everyone to flourish by being closer together and taking care of one another and actually getting to know who each other are, versus being so separated like we are now. And we don't really even know each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So there's the going back to the idea of abundance, and with the abundance mindset comes a connectivity mindset. Every morning, I take a few moments to be grateful and thankful for all of the things in the world, be it people, animals, the earth itself, the green growing things. And I then think about how I'm connected in to all of that, and connected into those who went before us and those who go ahead of us in time. So, yeah, the connectivity would make us feel less alone, make us feel less needy, filling the holes in our lives that we try to fill with
Yeah.
things that we buy or things that we accumulate.
Yeah.
So I feel like in order to tackle the problem of waste is also tackling this cultural psyche
Mhm.
that we all have of fear of needing, of wanting more, of trying to fill those holes with stuff.
Mhm.
There was a time where I considered going into marketing, and like, oh, can I go back to school and do business? And reading a few books made me think, like, feels like using psychology against people to get people to buy things. It just felt bad.
Mhm.
Like, can we do like reverse marketing?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
would that be?
This is so great because I saw the same thing, especially in the last few years, where I just see the answers are us getting together and being like actual loving and understanding each other, and then through that fills our holes, and then we don't buy as much and we don't waste as much, and it just yes.
Yep. We bought a snowblower.
Hmm.
So we bought a snowblower with our neighbor.
Hmm.
So we bought half of the snowblower, and it's now in our neighbor's garage because we don't have a garage. We renovated our garage and turned it into a studio space for me to teach in, but um, we don't house a snowblower, but we own half a snowblower and we get to use that snowblower. And it might turn into other people in our little neighborhood of, like, I don't know, 8 or 9 houses might also end up using that snowblower. Like, why would one street of little houses with little driveways need to own like 8 snowblowers?
Yes.
Like, we could all shovel by hand, but there are elderly people on the street who we can't go out and do everybody's driveway, and not everyone's going to pay money for a plow. So, like, how can we get into borrowing and lending out tools more? There are tool lending libraries.
Yes.
Like, these are great things. I guess on Facebook, I just got, was trying to figure it out last night. I haven't gotten myself into the group yet, but there is a, like, no buy or something like that, um, groups that you can join for your town, where somebody will post something that they're wanting to get rid of it, And if somebody needs it or wants it, oh, I'll take that. And it's no barter, no money exchange. It's simply, this is going up for free. Does anyone want it?
Yeah.
Like, happen more. Craigslist, there is a free section, or Free Cycle. Is that another one?
Yeah.
Like, we need to do that more. There's a take it or leave it section at our local dump, our local transfer station. And so if there's old toys or old household goods that we aren't using, we can take it, we can bring it there and leave it. And if somebody, like, I've taken things from that place, like, ooh, I've always wanted this, but oh look, I'll grab that.
Yeah.
So that has been closed for a year, almost a year, due to COVID. So it's been sad. Like, I want more of those outlets in the community to be able to just bring our things instead of bringing it to the dump to
Right.
be thrown away. Somebody else can use it.
Right. And as far as COVID goes, I don't quite understand that, because we go to the store and we pick things up from the store and we bring it into our house and we might disinfect it. But going to that place that you're talking about and picking something up, what, like, there's no difference between getting that from there and then getting something from the store.
Yep. I haven't looked in to see if they've opened that section of the dump. Um, just because of COVID, I just haven't.
Yeah.
But I think at first it was the whole non-essential, like, that's not essential, but getting your groceries is, kind of thing. I think that's
Yeah.
where they started with it. But man, I'm really looking forward to all of that stuff
Yeah.
opening up again. All of those, just feeling safe in the world and being able to go out and um, having more resources available that aren't mail order
Yeah.
shipped to you.
Yes. Yeah, I was also disappointed. I think it's open now, but Goodwill and Salvation Army was also closed for a long time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a thing, like, I haven't figured out how to do meat. I was a vegetarian for about a dozen years. I felt like I wasn't getting enough protein with other dietary restrictions that I have, sensitivities. So I went back to eating chicken, but haven't found like an eco-friendly way of doing that. Like, you think about olden times, you'd go to the fishmongers and they'd wrap your fish in newspaper and you take it home. But, like, no, you can't do that now.
Yeah.
Like, and there are a lot of stores, large chain grocery stores, where you can't, like, bring your container and be like, can you weigh this first and then, like, put the meat on in there and then I can just package it up. Like, no, they have to print out a label and use their packaging. And, like, can we get legislature passed to say that doesn't have to happen? Like, can we have food safety standards that are also eco-friendly? Like, can we figure that out? Because that is also health.
Yes.
It's not just this plastic thing covering this food is going to keep you from being contaminated, so it's health. Like, I feel like it's almost like an allopathic Western medicine approach to life. Like, um, with looking at herbalism and holistic healthcare and healing, it's about looking at the entirety of the body, mind, spirit, or
Hmm.
you could call it anything else, like your inspiration, like what makes you happy,
Hmm.
and the physical, your body, um, as a whole, to make everything work. While Western medicine is often, oh, you have this diagnosis, take this pill, it'll take the symptoms away. So, feeling like a lot of our food chain system is all about, like, let's keep you safe by giving this pill, meaning putting this plastic over it, or adding this preservative, or irradiating something so it kills all the bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Instead of the whole approach of, to make you healthier, yeah, you don't want to have parasites in your food, but it's maybe not so good for your food to be canned with plastic tops that have what, BPA in it. So can we look at the whole thing
Yeah. And
instead
and
of,
yeah, and I just want to say also, it's not just BPA. Like I watched a thing talking about that all plastic is leaching chemicals, and
yeah,
BPA is just one of them that we know about. But in
yeah,
reality, there's a ton more. And all our food is wrapped in plastic or comes in it somehow, and
yeah,
in all sorts of ways.
yeah, yeah. Like, um, I've started making my own lotion and lip balm and hand salves and balms. And like my daughter still has a lotion from the grocery store, and whenever she puts that on, I'm like, oh, that the scent, the smell, the fragrance, the unnatural perfumes, they go straight to my sinuses. Or using up old cleaning spray. Wow, my body has a reaction to it. Like it didn't used to have that reaction. When you take these things out of your life, these fake fragrances and other chemical cleaning agents, you really feel them when you're more sensitive to them.
Hmm.
So, like, is that a bad thing that I'm now sensitive to them? It kind of feels bad, but think about a whole culture, a whole country, a whole world of people walking around that have been bodies that are building up not to be sensitive to these chemicals,
Yeah.
until bodies at a certain point like can't do it anymore, and then you start having some real issues with chemical sensitivities. But we're just bathing in a world of potential chemical sensitivities.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and can't developing into cancer, or like there's just a litany of other diseases. I mean, that's just one that comes to my
Yeah,
mind, but
yeah.
there's so
we're
many
we're
more.
we're really bad in this country with autoimmune diseases, and inflammation is a big cause on that. Like all the things we're eating and we're putting into our bodies, and how we're living, and how we're not sleeping, and how we're drinking coffee to stimulate our bodies, but it's not, coffee isn't, and sugar, they aren't giving us energy. They are like robbing our energy stores. Like they're making our energy stores come out and using up that energy, so we get tired and then we need more.
Hmm.
Versus something more herbal that would like build up your energy, so you literally have more energy store to work from.
Hmm.
But like I see cars lined up at, I won't say any names, but at takeout windows getting their iced coffees, and thinking like, have you any idea what's in that? Not only the plastic you're drinking from, but like what is in that you're putting into your body?
Hmm.
Like, we're just running on crap.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I know myself, I'm by any means not perfect at all. I drink that stuff too. And when I when I actually pay attention to it and I stop drinking it and I actually pay attention to what I'm putting in my body, I
Yeah,
like the energy level just goes skyrocket. Like
yeah,
I for a week, 2 weeks, going on and on, as long as I continue eating like that, my energy level is like I'm fun. I like
yeah,
to be around me,
yeah,
and it's just
yeah,
good.
yeah. And I've read that there are certain snack companies that literally do research into the addictiveness of their food.
Mm-hmm.
What flavorings can we put into our food to make it such that people want to eat more of it?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of thinking, what can I put into my food that makes it more nutritious?
Yeah.
It's like, let's strip out everything from our food that makes it nutritious, and then let's put on a label and add some minerals and call it fortified.
Yeah.
Instead of just going to the source and eating the whole foods, which I will say, it's so expensive.
Yes.
So expensive. So, and I don't do it all the time. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
the amount of organic that I buy is much less or barely existent compared to the other food that's non-organic that I buy. I just wish that there was more opportunities, more availability, that it was more cost effective. I just feel like the way that we set up everything is setting up people to be making the wrong choices or only having the wrong choices available.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And I have found the same thing. It's difficult to get the right choices, and it's expensive to get the right choices. And like you were talking about the CSA, I've heard that that can save you money. I have not belonged to one. I looked into it, but
Yep.
I didn't actually do it. Um, it but I believe that it can save you money, but then
Over
yeah.
There's one CSA that I was looking into, and this, everyone is different, and this is just for my location, but it was about $700.
Mhm.
And we're not like in a position to be like, oh, let's just throw down $700. It will be an investment, over the year or over the like half a year of the growing season. Like, in order to be healthy and to have money, you have to have a certain amount of health and money to begin with, to like make investments into these healthy choices. And
Yes.
that's so wrong.
Yes. Yes. And like you said, so 700 was for the full year or half a year?
I think it was like 23 or 24 weeks for the main season.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest share that you could do.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds
Yeah.
like it would, if you could do that, it would save you money for sure if you looked at the entire time frame.
Yeah. I think it came down to like, there was something that I was looking at. One of some of the numbers that I was crunching turned out to be like $33 for like a bag full of produce, like like a grocery store bag just chock full of produce. So I guess it depends on like how much, what type of produce you would buy at the grocery store, if it would actually save you money in the long run. But it's not that much if you think about it, like $30 of
Mm-hmm.
produce. But to be forking that over in one
Yeah.
shot is tough.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah.
And then the other part I kind of want to touch on is, so even though we are looking at this money and it's tough to spend that at that in that bunch, right? But overall, if we look at our entire life and we're always eating this food, we would save money in healthcare costs, and like a lot of that doesn't get into the equation.
Yes. Yes. Also, speaking of saving money over a lifetime, especially for female-bodied individuals,
Mm-hmm.
you always have to talk about like menstrual pads or
Mm-hmm.
tampons.
Yeah.
I do the Thinks underwear,
Mm-hmm.
menstrual panties or whatever they call them, and the panty liners that are reusable. So don't buy those. I don't buy any panty liners or tampons anymore.
Yeah.
Just how much in a woman's lifetime, or yeah, or a female-bodied individual's lifetime, would you spend would you waste on that?
Yeah.
This like, and this is what, it's much better technology than the rags that people used to use,
Yeah.
but like my mother talked about using like, there is clips, like garters and clips, or like a belt that you wore with clips to keep things in place. Like we don't have any of that
Yeah.
anymore. But yeah, there's definitely been like this transition period of going to completely disposable everything, and now coming back again to being like, oh, I guess this isn't necessarily a good idea. We need to continue evolving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I use the Diva cup, which is a silicone-based cup, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
um yeah, and that was a bit like crazy to get used to at first. But
I I will admit that I did get one. I tried one and I got, yeah, not doing this.
I
Yeah.
could definitely see it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but it's an
But
option.
yes, but that also brings you to the hardness, the difficulty of trial and error
Mhm.
when you're doing eco-friendly alternatives. So like buying the Diva cup, that's like $40, something like that. Like, am I going to spend that money on a product that I'm not sure if I'm going to use? Or like, I can't gift that away to somebody now,
Yeah.
the trash after, if I decide after a few times I'm not going to use it. Or like, how many different shampoo bars did I try out that were horrible? Or like making shampoo, trying to make my own shampoo that felt like, I felt one of the shampoos that I made, it was a liquid shampoo, it felt like my hair was full of wax afterwards. Like like there isn't, and you can buy books and you can look online, but you're still going to have to try out different recipes and different products to see what works for you. There isn't like a tried and true path of this is what you can do, and if you do all these things you don't have to do the trial and error.
Yeah.
So it's, in order to be eco-conscious and really like be taking the next steps, it means you're going to be experimenting a lot, and you're going to have a lot of failures, and you're going to be putting more money into it and more time into something until you hit upon something that works for you. And how many people have that time, energy, emotional and psychological steadfastness, yeah, energy and money to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, yes, 100%, and I had the waxy hair too once.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't even use the whole bar.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and but I also wanna say, like you said it already, is, to just start simple. Paper towels are not necessary. Um,
Yeah.
and to just keep thinking about it like all the time, and like, do I really need this product or this item, or can I use something else instead? Or um,
Yeah.
and to experiment with what you can afford.
Yep. Yep. Another book, of course, it's very trendy. The Marie Kondo, the
Yes.
joy, is it the sparking joy and like the life-changing magic of tidying up. There are some really good chunks, nuggets of wisdom there with, yes, I'm holding this object in my hand, being at the store. Do I need this? Does it spark joy for me? Like, I guess there's like, there should be a hierarchy of things like, do I need this? Do I want this? Could I be without this? Could I do something else besides this, before you even buy something?
Hmm.
But yeah, it means you have to be in a certain frame of mind when you're at the store to be able to go through every object and think, do I need this?
Yeah.
What's the alternative to this? So it does take a lot of emotional and psychological energy to
Yeah.
be doing this, especially at first. After you kind of get in your groove and you figure out what works for you, it's not so much. But yeah, It's like this constant, okay, what's going to work for me? What's going to work with my family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
I
wanted to
tried with my,
go
yep.
ahead. Go ahead.
I tried with my son this parenting book about like simplicity parenting, I believe it was called, and kind of reducing the amount of toys and stimulus and TV and all of that. And I went through his toys. He had so many toys, and I culled them and gave them to a like a church store that then sells it for like a charity kind of thing. And then my little son, who's 4 now, he'd be like, I used to have this, but it's gone. And like whenever I go through his clothes that are too small or things that he doesn't need anymore to then give it away, he like has this immediate like, no, don't take this from me. So I feel like I traumatized the poor kid. So like we have this culture of like, you shouldn't buy your kids so many things and they shouldn't have these toys. And then like, but then toys are good for their developmental different stages, and kids who have things grow up feeling like they have security and abundance in their life instead of feeling that they have scarcity, so that they don't need to buy when they're older. Like there's so many different psychological ways of looking at these things with how you treat kids and how you raise kids, that you just have to muddle through it. Being a parent is hard enough.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I've learned that there is definitely no right or wrong way to parent at all.
Yep, it's individual. You could have 8 kids and it's going to be different for every kid.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Something that's going to traumatize one is going to be like the best thing ever for the other one.
Yes. Yes. And
Yep.
you have your own business. You were talking about your clients, and can you tell me about your business?
My business, well, I'm a violin teacher. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter. So that's like my profession. And I'm branching into Reiki
Mhm.
and sound healing, and also I'm an herbalism student. So why kind of weaving together the holistic approach to healing, which is different than curing.
Mhm.
Healing is allowing your body to use its natural abilities to heal itself. And how can we lessen the stress that depletes our bodies, that causes inflammation? How do we support our bodies with food, nutritive and tonic herbs, and the Reiki and the sound healing? I would like, for me it would be chanting,
Mhm.
singing like an improvised chant for somebody, which people who have done that for say that those who meditate say that when they hear me chanting, it gets them into a deeper meditative state faster than if they're just doing sitting meditation. Or people who say that they tried meditation, they want to do meditation, but they really can't sit and not be active. And their mind just goes, and they don't feel like they're getting any benefits from it. Hearing the voice and following the voice really helps them get to that meditative state without, like, because the brain is then focused on these tones instead of focused on to the chatter that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's about stress and anxiety reduction, which is a main stress and anxiety are main factors in a lot of health issues. We're talking like digestive issues. It can even cause things like eczema.
Yeah.
Stress can cause skin disorders.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many things. Lack of sleep is then going, because of anxiety, is going to then make your body tired. You're not going to eat as well. You don't sleep as well. You don't exercise. It's all this big ball of tangle. So how can you, as a holistic healer, help somebody untangle that ball for them, and focus on the knots that they need to have undone in their life so that they can focus more on supporting their bodies?
Yeah.
That's kind of, it's not a curing, it's not a doctor approach, it's lifestyle.
It's so beautiful. Oh, I want to become a client.
Sounds good. And the thing that I've been like wanting to, I hate the online thing and being so connected to social media. And yet during times of COVID, and like you and I couldn't be doing this. We live in different locations.
Yeah.
I can't travel to do an interview like this. So how much of a blessing and a curse this all is. So just having to figure out the balance between being connected enough through technology while not making it the only thing you're plugging into.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I've seen a lot of people complain about technology and social media, and I get frustrated by that because, yes, I totally acknowledge that there is a lot of bad things about it. But at the same time, like you just said, the things that I'm working on and the things I'm creating would just be not possible if it wasn't for technology and what we have available. And
Yeah.
I just, I've experienced so much benefit in the last few years from that, directly from that.
Yep. Yep. But it's all about balance.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Not only they talk about like you have to be conscious and mindful of what you're putting into your body, be it your the food, air, water, but it's also the media you're consuming.
Hmm.
You could also go at the step further of the people that you're talking to and the words that are going into your head from people, their conversations, what things are coming out of your mouth that are going back into your head.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
yep.
Yeah.
So it's all
Oh my,
connected.
it sure is. It so is. And I love this conversation. Thank you so much. I
Yes.
appreciate it. And how can
Thank you.
people get in touch with you?
I am online at Cranberry Hill Healing Arts. So cranberryhillhealingarts.com. You can find me on Facebook. That's mainly what I use. I do have an Instagram account that I kind of use. So yeah, you can find me. You can go on my mailing list. You can like my Facebook page, Cranberry Hill Healing Arts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carolyn. I love this. It's so good. And I can't wait
Yeah.
to connect with you again.
Yes, me too. Thank you
Cool.
so much. Yeah, I was really thinking like, what do I know? Like you're gonna ask me like what? I don't know any. I guess it's more like I just need to continue walking the walking the walk instead of talking the talk. But yeah, once COVID is over, yeah, I feel like it'll be easier to do more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that like somehow we're going to find a new way of doing a lot of things, and partially because of COVID. Um, so, I mean, I know there's a lot of bad things about it, but I honestly don't see it as, it's kind of like the social media thing. There's also a lot of good things.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I was hoping that there would be even more call to change with COVID. Like I'm hoping that all the families that are shut in and not doing a lot of social things will emerge from this going, you know what? I don't want my kid going to sports and music lessons and Girl Scouts and for every day of the week.
Hmm.
I hope people are just slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because all of that is not, it's not worth it, and it doesn't bring you the happiness that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Less weight on the shoulders of people to do and be,
Mm-hmm.
like to become more instead of just being who you are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to get into this top school. My kid has to get these trophies. They have to do this. They
Mm-hmm.
have this on the resume to get into the college. Yeah, I guess I have a master's degree, and I guess I feel like, can we like look at trade schools more?
Yes.
Like, not necessary.
Uh, So I am a huge proponent of trade schools as well. I grew up that way. My dad
Yep.
was he was a pipe fitter and welder, and he was a huge proponent of unions and trade schools and all of that stuff. And
Yep.
I was a aircraft mechanic for so many years, um, and then I remember watching my son go into high school, and the high school had like 21 different subjects of something besides college. And like that included electrician, house building, mechanic, auto mechanics, cybersecurity,
Yep.
you cosmetician, cooking. Like there was just so many. And I remember the lady up there, she said, and if you're not interested in going to college, which I hope you all are, then you have these options. But I was so mad because I was like, no, not everyone is supposed to go to college or can go to college. And these are fantastic options to get into. And that's the approach that you should be telling your new high school students.
Yes. Yes. Especially because colleges, I feel, or universities, there is a part of it that is becoming this money-making machine.
Yeah.
Not all about teaching and learning anymore. It's about getting these kids, like, colleges will accept more students than they know will have graduating
Mm-hmm.
because, well, they'll drop out, but in the meantime, we'll get their tuition and fees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that's not about learning, that's this model. Like, why is it all business?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I just, like we've been talking, it's not all about business, and it's failing. It's failing
It's
us.
yes. Yes. How about looking at what do we need? What what kind of people do we need? Um, we don't need a whole group of heroes. We would literally need more worker bees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. We don't need more queens.
Yeah.
More worker bees. Yep.
Yeah. And that just means, just being, you know, it's okay to not be crazy about whatever you passion. It could be just being at home and working a farm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We need to change the lens of what a hero is
Yeah.
and what is valued.
Yeah.
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 The hospital does not necessarily run with its on its the work of its surgeons or its doctors. It
Yeah.
runs on the power of the nurses.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, not that you don't need all of the people, but the people who are really the foundations need to be paid enough and respected enough to be able to do their job and to do their job well and to do their job so that they remain healthy
Yeah.
and that they have fulfilled good lives.
Yes. Yes. And respect them for people and
Yeah,
individuals.
yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm just a lowly musician who, like, what do I contribute to the world? But like maybe a little spark of happiness for the few people that I teach. So, but we need more of the welders,
Yes.
really. We need
Yeah.
the plumbers. We need the people who built my house, you
Oh,
know?
so you know what else just reminded me? I had a conversation with my dad, and he's retired now, and he just told me that they are seeking people who are retired to come back to work because they don't have enough people doing the work.
Uh-huh.
And I
Because there's
mean,
no college for
yeah,
intellectual that are great and they're wonderful, and my family is full of them, but we need the people who use their hands.
yeah. Yeah, and he said that that has been going on for a couple of years, so it's not just because of COVID, it's also because of what you're talking about with the schools.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what kind of business can we not have? A business model? Can we have a cultural, societal village model?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sure there's a technical term for that, but
Yes.
yeah.
Well, something, and I don't like to get into politics, but a word keeps coming up to me a lot is socialism, and people have a misunderstanding of what that means. And I'm personally not very good at explaining it very well, but basically it's like what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Socialism isn't communism.
Exactly.
But communism is wonderful if you look at it idealistically, in the same way capitalism is wonderful if you look at it idealistically. But they all have their little sticky wickets and their failing points.
Yes.
So yes, it would be good to rethink our model and our power structure so that it isn't so imbalanced.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Cool. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Looks like I have to go.
Yep. Good talking with you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and we will
Yeah,
definitely catch up soon.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.